The Malwa region in northern India was the prime center for the major opium production. It all began in early 1800 when, under the rule of the British East India Company, the cash crop opium was cultivated legally. During that time, opium was considered as one of the most valuable products of India as it was exported to China for Chinese tea, silk, and porcelain. At Malwa, opium pulp would then be collected and converted into opium pellets. These pellets would then be packed and weighed in batches. They would be transported to Daman via sea route, as at that time Daman was emerging as a growing port. At the Bombay port, these cargoes would be unloaded and then brought to the British East India Company. Being situated at the Muscat port, the East India Company building was celebrated for its grandeur. In the Assembly Hall of the East India Company, Sir William addressed the mercantile crowd gathered on the issue of the opium trade being legally started from Bombay then. Jamshedji Jijiboy, on having attended the same session with his uncle Fremji, got very excited on hearing Sir William's words. "What? Opium trade to China from Bombay?" exclaimed Jamshedji. Jamshedji was already getting restless on his way back home. Walking down the narrow Bombay streets, he told his uncle, "Fremji uncle, if the East India Company has encouraged the merchants to start the opium trade from Bombay, I believe this is the right time to grab the opportunity. I am an orphan who is working as an apprentice at your shop, counting and selling old empty bottles. Now the time has arrived for us to enter the real business world." Jamshedji made several voyages to China as his uncle's partner, transporting opium. Once sailing by Brunswick, a 250 tons vessel, his ship was captured by the French. This misadventure cost him a fortune, but it had one profitable outcome. Aboard the ship, he met the ship's assistant, William Jardine, who in partnership with James Matheson would go on to find Jardine Matheson and Company in Canton, and its prime supplier of opium turned out to be none other than Jamshedji. Jamshedji amassed enough wealth in the opium trade. A few years later, Jamshedji met a seaman in the morning at the Irish tea shop in the bazaar. From the corner of his eye, Jamshedji could see that he was making a sketch. Out of curiosity, he went to him and asked, "What sketch is that?" "This is a sketch of the opium smokers whom I had seen last night at the opium den, half sunk in sleep with bamboo pipe and little black pellets of opium. But they were still able to answer all that I asked them." Jamshedji thought to himself that the illustration was to represent the generality of the plight of the opium smokers. He was taken aback when he saw the sketch. To verify about the current situation of the dens, Jamshedji decided to send his trusted secretary to a few opium dens and find out if all of it was true. From his descriptions, he found out that the opium houses had no outward attractions. The houses were situated in small squalid lanes. Groping the way down the passage, pushing aside the greasy curtain with a stick, as it was far too foul to touch with the hand, and the mystery was made plain. The room, with its tightly closed shutters and smoke blackened walls, was filled with recumbent men in various stages of dishabille. The rooms were not large ones, for the habitual smokers preferred a small apartment in which the fumes of the drug hung about easily. Its reeking walls unadorned, a crude portrait of a Hindu goddess and oleographs of British royalty. It were all the same if these were absent, for the opium smokers came not hither to see pictures and cared not for distinctions of race, creeds, or sovereignty. Jamshedji was deeply moved to hear about the sympathetic conditions of the opium smokers in Bombay. In this city, where he had earned an exalted place through opium trafficking, there were the people who had become slaves to this same dangerous drug. He developed a great sympathy for his poorer countrymen, so he doled out philanthropy in the estimated amount of $1.5 million. He had to his credits 126 notable public charities, including the Sir J. J. School of Arts, Sir J. J. Hospital, Horniman Circle, Colaba Reclamation, Mahim Causeway, and also funded many other roadways and open spaces. He had contributed in changing the face of the city. He had also got the unauthorized opium clubs in the city shut with the Britishers' agreement. Today, it is still a question of how not to see it: Bombay disappearing in a wisp of a smoke, or Bombay rising out of it.